Slavin, supported by Councilwoman Brandana, to direct the Board of Ethics to draft a complete revision to the ethics ordinance.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Excuse me. Okay, so, I'm not sure how it works with the ethics committee, but can they get input from the citizens, or can we put it on the website that there, if there's anything that the citizens have in mind that they can, reach out or send us an email about it, maybe put the date that it's gonna happen or something as a deadline. That was one thing. And then the other thing, with respect to bringing it back next time, if someone wanted to reconsider, that could still work, because you can set it into the future. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And doesn't it have to be one of the people that voted against it?
Correct.
So the people who voted for it can't make that.
That meant the prevailing, those that prevail in the vote.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure that if someone was interested in that, we could still do that to take place after they meet, right? If we knew when that was.
Only if you made a motion to reconsider, and that the majority of the council agreed with the motion to reconsider, and then the item would be placed back before us on the existing second reading, and then at that point in time, any manner of motions are in order. A motion to postpone the second reading to the first meeting in July, the first meeting in August. A motion to amend a complete substitution would then be in order if there was revisions that the council would want to do at that point in time.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman.
So one reason why I would like for it to happen too, sooner than later, after we get some input and they meet again hopefully, is because I would like for the one person that is scheduled to be out at the end of the year to be able to stay. So he's put a little bit of time and effort into it, and if he was interested, we'd love for him to stay. So that's another reason to make it, so we can have it come back to us sooner. And it might help the meeting get scheduled faster and things too, instead of just sitting.
Councilwoman Whitten.
I would say I think we have a pretty solid ordinance that's been reviewed by corporate counsel. It was amended to enhance it and clarify, giving an avenue, like you said, if there's a complaint against corporate counsel or the mayor, there is a different avenue. I'm not sure why we need a complete rewrite. I mean, getting their feedback, we value people who volunteer, and certainly getting their feedback on it, I think, would be a good avenue, but rewriting it, I'm not sure the reasoning for that.
Any further discussion? Councilman Brown.
My other concern would be on the rewrite, the idea of, I didn't hear anything about corporate counsel should be involved in that rewrite. I think that they should work together. There's some highly intelligent people that are going to go on everything else, that should have input, but it should also, it's very important that they work with our corporate counsel to make sure he gets his input into that also. And like I said, I'm sure that there might be things that may not have to be changed per the ethics people that are sitting on the ethics board. So hopefully it could move forward very quickly, and between working with the city attorney and themselves, maybe we can get this through without making a lot of changes. It may not have to have a lot of changes, just a little bit more in depth and a little bit more strength put into it.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Mayor.
I would just like to point out again that I think this is stronger today than it was yesterday. As you can see, I put things specifically in there about complaints about the mayor. And I worked with our corporate counsel, everything to do with this. We sent this out early to the recommending body, which is the Board of Ethics. A couple of them came to the board or to the meeting to discuss some of the issues that they had with it or whatever. But every person on that board was sent the changes. And only two came and said, hey, we think this should be this or death. We invited the president at the time, I'm not sure what the position of the director of the board or whatever. He came in, sat down with myself, the chief of staff, and we went over different things. There was things we agreed upon, which are in this ordinance, and there's some things that we didn't necessarily agree on. We combined that, we said, we think this is a good start, and that's where we finished. And that's where we're at right now. And corporate counsel, he signed off and did everything to make sure everything was done legally.
Councilwoman Layton.
I will say again, I think this is council's purview to do this. I think it's been reviewed. We can amend it later. I'm not sure why we're not moving forward with this and why we want to put, again, I think this is council's role to do this, and it's been sent to them, it's been reviewed, feedback's been obtained.
Any further? Councilman Johnson.
To the chair, was the ethics board consulted when you originally wrote it?
There was no ethics board.
Exactly. Thank you.
The chair, if I may comment. I'd just like to remind the council that for those that were on the council when the original ordinance was passed and those who aren't, the original ethics ordinance took literally years and many, many meetings to pass. It was a difficult, long, and arduous process. And to start over and rewrite the ethics ordinance at this point, my personal opinion is that it would take forever again to get another rewrite passed.
And Councilman Ramick.
Again, I think we have time to make changes in the future. The changes have been made. We can still go forward. We can go ahead and move forward with what we have now. And again, it's like I said earlier, the changes can be made at a later date. If this council feels something that in-depth about maybe making changes, we can always talk it over again. But I was on that at that time, and it took forever to come to that, because what happens is everybody starts changing their minds, wants this put in and wants put that. And I think the ethics right now, I think it's strong enough to support what has to be going on, because if it's not strong enough for certain things, there's always other ways to punch through that and move on.
Any further discussion? There is a, I'm sorry, Councilman Slayton.
Mr. Chairman, as I stated before, rewrite doesn't mean change. It means rewrite in completion the ordinance. They can take some of the stuff that's in there and put it back in, but with up-to-date caveats would need to be addressed.
Any further discussion?
Just to the chair, just again remind council that if someone does want to bring a motion for reconsideration, that could be brought tonight or at the next meeting. Again, it would have to be someone that voted against approving the second reading tonight. One of those four people could bring the motion back for reconsideration.
Councilman Brandon.
So how do we ask them to have a meeting? So I know that they're scheduled once a year. Can we have them outside of that? You know, can they have them more if they wanted? So like if, you know, I'm sure that they understand that we want, some of us want that to happen. So maybe they could meet. In considering this further, I too agree that it has good additions to it, and we should perhaps let this go through, ask the committee to meet again, and then do some additions, and hopefully it won't take a long time. But at least we're in the right direction.
The motion before us is Councilman Slavin's motion, supported by Councilman Brandana. Just restated to direct the Board of Ethics to draft a complete revision to the ethics ordinance. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no.
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Remick?
No.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Ms. Rose?
No.
Mrs. Brandana?
No.
Mrs. Linton?
No.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. Geisler.